So I am here with Josh V, former drummer of 3 6 Mafia, now obviously with Nita Strauss. He's done more than drumming though. On your Instagram bio it has musician, marketing, branding, management. You make shit happen. So let's hear let's hear some of that shit. What have you been up to since we'll say since Shiprocked in the past like month?
See, Shiprocked. After Shiprocked, we went to, was that after the I can't remember. It was the conference championship with the Rams Niners game. I can't remember if it was before or after that, but the Rams won.
Yes.
So we went there and neither went back on tour. I stayed in LA, um, working on my own music. And in the meantime, also getting back to work for the Nita stuff. There's always stuff going on in that world, especially with the business side of it. I'm
Yeah.
always trying to find new things to do and new things to be a part of and get Nita attached to. So it was a lot of that. And while I was there, I went to go see Corn and System of a Down, which was pretty badass. And then I stayed for the Super Bowl. Didn't go, but went to the Rams after party. Got to meet some cool people. Got to hold the Lombardi Trophy.
I saw you were
So,
with Swerve for a bit of it.
yeah, okay, you know who he is. Okay, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Knew him from the PCW Ultra days because I used to actually do marketing for PCW Ultra in LA.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, got my hands on
So
a lot of
yes,
stuff.
you do. So you guys have either in the past couple weeks or in the future, you have some interesting shows coming up with the Nita stuff. So talk a little bit about playing on Shiprocked. Was that your first cruise that you were able to play on?
That was the first cruise I was able to play on. Yeah, and it was awesome, man. It was really cool. I had a lot of friends on it, so it was cool. Anytime there's a big gathering like that, it's always great to see a lot of friends in one place at one time. So it's like a reunion, but then it's like, okay, cool, I'm here. Some friends I've known for a long time, they haven't seen me play yet, or I took a break from music for a while, so it was cool to like have everybody sit there and watch and get to see what we do. Not only me, but obviously Nita, because I always think Nita in a really big view, and I've always had that vision for years, and I felt like a lot of people never saw that, and I think now people are starting to see it, and it's cool. So the show was awesome. It was packed. We had Johannes from Avatar come up and sing with us, Feed My Frankenstein, and Phil Demmel from Machine Head, and now plays in Lamb of God. He came and jammed with us. So it was just a good vibe, man. I was super amped. Our band was amped. We just destroyed, man. It felt really good.
So you said you've always seen bigger stuff for Nita, and that actually goes perfect into my next question. You guys had already announced you have some festivals coming up. You're playing at Upheaval, you're playing at Rockfest in Wisconsin. So how did that all come about? Was that just the promoters are reaching out and they're finally, like you said, starting to see that we have something here?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. I think that for Nita's career, I really spent a lot of time. I have people that always ask me, like, "Oh, how did this happen? How did that happen?" Like, I'm very, very strategic. I plan everything out, and I look at every variable of. If I have an idea, I think of every possible situation. If it goes wrong, then I'm going to go left or up or down. If like this, okay, what about this situation, this scenario? So I really plan things out. I think that it took a long time for, if you look at Nita in general musically, since she's an instrumental solo artist, it's hard to fathom to have somebody like that on bigger stages and play in front of a lot of people and do all that kind of stuff. And I knew in order to make that happen, I had to be able to create big opportunities for people to see that. So that's how like the WrestleMania stuff, the Ram stuff, that will kind of put her in a bigger light and gives more credibility other than just her being an instrumental guitar player. And a lot of people will probably shine off of that, look away from that because it's instrumental music. But when you get to listen to it, people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So getting that, I think, a culmination of getting a lot of stuff happening, having this avalanche forming, and then we have a really great booking agent, Sound Talent Group, Bex and Tim Bohr, and they when we brought them on board last year, I had a big vision. I had a big vision for this record. I had a big vision for this. I told Nita a year ago, and I told the label that we were going to have a number one song this year. And before the song was even
Here we
written,
are.
and here we are. And it's not like, it's not me being arrogant. It's not being, I envision things and they come into fruition. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so let's get now onto you more in the beginning. What was your first were drums the first instrument that you touched that you wanted to do?
Drums were the first thing that I wanted to do. I used to watch a lot of Metallica all the time, live and breathe Metallica. So I would watch videos of, I would just say, a little older than you. So I would have a VHS and then I would sit there and watch Headbangers Ball or Late Night MTV. And that's when they played all the metal videos. So as there was a band that I liked or whatever, I would record all the videos. You have to go up there and press record. And I had this videotape of all these bands. And I had one separate one for Metallica. So I really watched that. But I had this guy I know, Adam. His name was Adam Hayden. He grew up in my hometown. And he had, for some reason, left drumsticks at my house. His family owned a music store, but for some reason, he had drumsticks at my house. So I was like, oh, okay. I kind of did that. And then I would watch Metallica. Then I would sit on my knees and play on the carpet and be like, okay, he's doing this. And when he does that, and I would cut out little pieces of cardboard for each drum. And then I would follow along what he did. So I did that for, I don't know, 6-7 months, begged my parents to get me a drum set. They were like, you're never going to follow with this. This is something you're just going to throw away. And I was like, no, I really want to do this. Started playing. My first concert was Metallica, Guns N' Roses. And that moment, I was like, that's what I want to do right there. I knew it exactly at that moment. That's what I really wanted to do.
So I was told this is kind of, I mean, you're the second one, but I've reached out to Nita for other interviews. They just haven't happened yet. She put a question in for Roxy because his interview was right around the solo tour date, so I was meeting her.
Yep.
I reached out to her when I had you on, and I was told I should ask you, how did you discover new bands growing up?
That's funny. So that kind of goes into my handle as well. So when I was young, I knew I was too young. I knew I wanted to be in the music industry. At this time I was 14. So I was like, I want to be in the music industry, but I'm a kid. Nobody's going to want to talk to me. Why does anybody want to talk to a kid? So I was like, okay, the next big band is a local band somewhere. So I knew that if I got in touch with the bands that were coming up, maybe they'd give me a chance. Back in the day, they didn't have Facebook or Instagram, so nobody's gonna know how old I was. So there was a magazine that came out every year, which I actually just found when we moved. I used to tell Nita this story all the time, and when we moved, I found the magazine. I was like, "Oh my God, here it is!" So it was Billboard's musicians guide to the music industry, and in there it had every lawyer, every label, every address, all these people, how you get in touch with them. It's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I wish that would come out now. Obviously I'm in a different position in my life now, but I think it's really cool.
It would make my job easier than having to.
Yeah, it literally gave you every contact information for every venue, every lawyer, every PR firm, everything. It's so amazing. So I would go in there and look at the venues that booked rock and metal and 500 capacity or above. And I would come home from school and I would highlight each one. That would take me time. It'd go from Arizona all the way down to Wyoming or whatever and highlight all of them. So go backwards. When I got done with that, and I would call these venues and say, you book rock and metal bands. What are the top 3 biggest bands that you book that sell out your venue but are unsigned? And then they would give me the names. I'd write down the names. I would get my AOL hours, which you probably don't know what that is. You've heard of it. But the internet, you have to pay by the minute back then. So you had to have the fees that would give you free internet access for 30 minutes. So, or X amount of hours. And so I would go on there, go online, find the website, listen to these bands. If I liked them, then I would contact them. Say, hey, my name is Josh. I'm from New Orleans area. I love your music, man. If you could send it to me, I would give it out to some of my friends. And so they're thinking like, holy shit, I'm from whatever, Vermont. Some dude knows who we are in Louisiana. That's crazy. They're a local band, right? So then they would send me stuff. So a lot of these bands would end up getting signed. So when the band would come in town, they were like, we're in the van or in the blue bus or whatever. Come say hi. We have you on the list. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm 15 years old. Like they're gonna know I'm a kid. My gig is up. And at that time in my life in New Orleans, I was going out, uh, going out to bars at a very young age. And I made friends with like managers at bars and different places. I had a fake ID, obviously. And I was told these managers, like, hey, look, there's bands coming in. If I bring them in, can you take care of them? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. They're playing at the House of Blues or whatever. So I was like, okay, I got to go talk to this band. Shit. And so I'm like, all right, walk to the bus and I knock on the door and somebody cracked the door open. Yeah. Like, here to see whoever. And they're like, okay, hold on a second. And so what went along in my head was they're saying, hey, dude, we got this guy. He's taking us out tonight, Bourbon Street. He's got the bar hookup. His name's Josh, man. He's coming down. This is gonna be great. And this guy opens the door and is like, it's a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like, and this is what went on in my head. And so he comes every time it came back, dude come back and be like the Josh. I'm like, yeah, it's me. And that's why my handle is at Josh V, because that's what always was said. So then I was like, yeah. And they're like, okay, come on up. So I come walking up, and all of a sudden I'm like, here, Josh. As soon as I cut around the corner, like, Josh, like, holy shit, it's a kid. Like, here's this bottle of Jack. Got you guys set up afterwards. Thanks for the tickets and passes. I'll meet you guys after the show. So I would take all the bands partying, and everybody was like, okay, well, this kid, like, he's bringing us these places. It was like a don't ask, don't tell policy. And what's funny is it turned into this thing where the bands would call up other bands. Hey, when you go to New Orleans, contact this guy, Josh. He's the guy to talk to. So that fast forwarded to, I was like, well, yeah, it's cool hanging out with all these bands and stuff, but I played drums. So I would videotape myself playing songs on drums that people thought were difficult to play. And then I put them on a VHS and give them to people. Like, hey, this is me playing this. They're like, oh, you play drums? I'm like, yeah, man. This song and this song and this song. They're like, wow. And then my name started circling as a drummer, not just a party guy. And then the first person that talked about having me play drums for him was actually Vanilla Ice. And I was 17 years old. I was 17, and he was like, yeah, that'd be great. You play drums with me, man. I was like, I'm 17. He's like, what? I'm like, dude, we used to party, but I was like, yep, I know. I was 15. And what's funny is like, we're still friends. I still talk to him. But like, I gave him a video one time. He messaged with me. He's like, I still have that video, man. And what's interesting about that is like a lot of the bands that I met, this is how I met like Disturbed. That's how I met the band Disturbed. Their email was disturbedchicago@hotmail.com. And the person that was behind the email was the band email, but Dave Draymond was the one that was talking. And that's how I originally met them. And fast forward, I met them in 2000, 22 years later. He's on a track with us.
Number one.
There you go. So, yeah, crazy stories, man. And I still have the notebook where I wrote down the band names, and I still have one of the magazines from one of the years.
So what was, because you were at the time like 17, what was the first tour that you actually like got brought out on with an artist?
Well, it was interesting. When I was 16 years old, I've always had a knack for marketing. When I was 16, I started one of the bands that I was talking to, because I would actually talk to these bands and be like, yeah, man, I like this song, but I don't really like this song. This logo's cool. I think you should do like, I don't know why they wouldn't really ask me. Sometimes they would ask my opinion, sometimes they didn't. But I used to do that with bands, they would actually ask me my opinion of stuff. One of the bands, I forget who it was, but connected me to Island Def Jam Records. Island Def Jam Records at this point in time was putting out bands like Full Double Jacket, Saliva. They were signing all these bands from Tennessee. And they would sit me on the phone like, hey, so we're thinking about releasing this song and this song. We're going to send them to you, give us your feedback on it. I was fucking 16 years old, and I was kind of like looking in retrospect, it's pretty kind of crazy and cool at the same time. So I would sit there and give feedback and tell them what I thought. And then there was a tour called Tattoo the Earth in 2000. I just graduated high school that year. And there was a tour that was put together with Slipknot, Seven Dust, Slayer, Mudvayne, a band called 1 Minute Silence. They're great. Downset, Sepultura. I mean, it was the tour of tours.
Yeah.
And I got asked from Island Def Jam to go out to do marketing for it. And I was like, that's great. But I went out on the tour, and let's just say what they told me what I was doing versus what I ended up doing wasn't the same. So about, a little bit into the tour, I decided to part ways and stay on the tour. And I made friends with every band on the tour, and still to this day are a lot of people are lifelong friends from that, which is funny because my friend Sonny Mayo, who at the time was playing with the band called Amen, who used to be in Snot and then ended up in Hit PE and Seven Dust, made a post yesterday about that, about Tattoo the Earth. And he said, made some of my best lifelong friends on Tattoo the Earth, and he tagged me in it. And it just brought back like all these memories of,
Yeah.
it was a great summer, man. It was really, really cool, really, really special. And I'm friends with, still talk to a lot of those people from that day and age. Like they're lifelong friends. They are.
So it sounds like you really, had your toes dipped into the metal community. How did you get brought into the fold with Then 3 6 Mafia, a hip hop group?
So I was doing my own band, which I've been trying to do for a long time, and I'm working on a record right now, which is like my Chinese Democracy. Um, it's coming along really, really good. So hopefully this year I'll put out something with it. But I had I had a band going at the time in LA, and things weren't going that good. And I had been asked from a lot of different people before to play with them, like national bands that were pretty well known. And I was just kind of like, nope, I want to do my own thing. Nope, I want to do my own thing. So I was putting my band together. We're playing shows, and there was just like in every band, there's always these issues with band members and all this stuff. And I've always been the business guy in my band and with Nita and stuff like that. So they kind of wanted to, take the reins. And I'm like, okay, well, fine, take the reins, and whatever you guys want to do, whatever, I'll be there. So I said, you know what? The next opportunity that comes to me, I'm going to say yes to. And I had made friends with the guys from 3 6, and I had told them we were playing the Key Club in LA. And like, okay, cool, we'll come to the show. I think we were opening up for Steel Panther. And they came to the show, and afterwards they came up to me like, you're playing drums with us. I go, what? They go, we want you to be our drummer. I go, okay. And I was like, I said the next thing that happened, I was going to take it. And that was that. And so I did it. And the first show I played with them was in actually, holy shit. I actually might be like my God, I think it's like an anniversary. I don't even remember what year it was years back, but it was around this time, because I did one song with them during Mardi Gras time. I happened to be in New Orleans. I played with them. And then the next big show I did with them was the Beale Street Music Festival in Memphis, which was their hometown, which was pretty badass.
So now we're gonna skip ahead quite a bit to Controlled Chaos. What was the creative input that you had on that album? Because Nita said that was, she really wanted to keep it all like as close as she could to just in-house. So how much creative input did you really have on that project?
With Nita stuff, I try to be, I, I want her to be her own person with it, right? So like musically, I have my own style, my own thoughts of stuff, and musically, she has her own style and way of she does music. So we always don't tend to agree on like song structures and stuff like that. But that's not my place for that. I give input here and there, maybe like maybe that's a little too long, or maybe shorten that. But what she does is she'll write the song, and she does it on the drum machine. And she does like, and I tell her, I'm like, just give me the vibe that you're looking for, because at the end of the day, it's her music, and I want to keep the vibe that she has. But some of the stuff is like, well, I have to add my own influence too. So she kind of gives me the vibe, and I josh it up with my style of double bass and grooves and tom stuff. And that's kind of the process that it goes. So she'll put it together, give it to me, and I There's some stuff that she's like, I really want it exactly like that. I'm like, okay. And then we go back and forth. And, if she's adamant about something and she's willing to die on that hill, let's go for it. But she lets me have a lot of freedom of the drumming style and how the drums can change certain parts.
Yeah, so I was gonna go on to Dead Inside next, but you did mention your double bass. I entirely forgot about that when taking notes. Do you have any like warm ups that you do? Because when I saw you guys, I did not expect it to sound exactly like it did on the album. Like Mariah Trench started, I'm like, there's no way he's doing this, and then you did. Is there like warm up routine that you have or something that keeps you, in shape with that?
You know what's funny about that? So many times after shows, people will come up to me and go, "Oh my god, dude, your double bass is sick. I thought that was all fake." I was like, "What?" When they heard the record, right? And it's very flattering. One of my favorite drummers of all time is a guy named Pete Sandoval from Morbid Angel. And growing up, it's like when I heard his double bass, it was just like mind blowing because nobody was playing like him. And I'm flattered when people say the double bass is fast, but man, there's some fast guys out there like George Callias and Derek Roddy and Pete Sandoval, all these people, Tim Young. So it's cool. To be honest with you, what's crazy when I was younger, I think I put myself through such like boot camp hell to build double bass. I used to put weights on my ankles. I used to really like, I would play. There's this one Morbid Angel song, Gateways to Annihilation. It's the first track. I think it's called Summoning Redemption. And it's like 6 minutes long. And it's just majority straight double bass. And I used to always play that song before I ever started playing drums, like practicing or whatever. I would always play that song. I would do it every day. And it would just build the shit out of your legs. And over the years, to be honest with you, man, like I don't really do a lot of stuff to maintain that. It's kind of odd. I'm very grateful. But before I do go on stage, I do warm up and I do play along to Morbid Angel stuff to warm up my feet and my calves. And I do before I play, I actually play the entire set with my bass player. We sit back in the back of the bus and we play the entire set. So I'm already pretty warmed up by the time I get on stage. But yeah, I mean, trust me, there's some songs like Lion Among Wolves when I'm playing it live, when the end is just double bass. I'm like, what? Literally, I'm playing. I'm like, why did I even come up with something like this? This is so dumb. My legs are killing me, So, I don't know. It's easy. It's easy if you just sit still and play that stuff. But I expend a lot of energy with
Yeah,
my
yeah.
movements and stuff. So,
Yeah,
whatever.
I also didn't expect like stick tricks to be happening during that kind of drumming.
Yeah, it's I love putting on the show. I
Yeah.
love entertaining. I love to entertain myself. I do stupid stick tricks that sometimes maybe I'll get, sometimes I won't. But it's just fun to it's just that's one thing I will say. Playing with 3 6 was one of the biggest things that it taught me was I went from playing in the band with people that complained about everything and you messed up this and he messed up that and you did, and it just didn't become fun anymore. When I played with 3 6, the one big thing I could take away from that was it was fun. Like after a show sometime, be like, hey man, that part I messed this up with. Like, what? It's like, yeah, that song I did this. Dude, we're just here to have fun. I'm like,
Yeah.
bingo. That's what's important, having fun. So, and that's what I think a lot of people forget. Like the people that sit there, go to shows that critique that this person missed that note or that, drum fill was messed up. It's like, really? Like that's
Well,
what
yeah,
you're
if
gonna
you
do
if
a
you want to
show
hear it
for?
how it is on the album, then just listen to the album. Don't go to
It
the
was an
show.
album. Yeah, listen to the album. So that's the kind of thing that just, but that's music fans. That's how they are. But it's okay. It's all right. You
Yeah.
win them over little by little. So it's okay.
So you had mentioned earlier you said like you're getting a number one song by the end of this year. Was there a point during recording or at any point before it actually became number one that you knew, oh, Dead Inside is it? This is what's doing it for us?
It wasn't for the songs in the new record, it wasn't gonna be my pick. There's other songs that I think I predict can probably be way bigger than that. I'm hoping. I'm always hoping big.
Yeah.
So with everything
You
that we
have to,
did,
yeah.
I'm like, what is the next step? So with that, with Dead Inside, it was when the song was finished, we had a different idea for a vocalist. And when the song was finished, I said, Dave Draymond. Like, what? I said, Dave Draymond. This is a Dave Draymond song. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm telling you right now, we put Dave Draymond on the song. This song is going to blow up. And well, a little back and forth, back and forth. Then I finally hit up Dave Draymond. He got back to us. And about a week later, he was super excited, had all these ideas. Like, I've known him for 20, what is this, 22 years? Jesus Christ. 22 years. And I hadn't heard him that excited in a long time about anything. And he was just like, I got this idea. Oh my God, this. And he was singing it on the phone. And it was just a cool thing to see him excited, you know? And with this thing, and again, like I call this way before the song was even written. I just had a feeling and I knew right there, just like God told me, like, get Dave Dreamer on the song's gonna blow up. And it did.
Did you give him any kind of like direction on where you wanted the lyrics to go, or you just said, here's what we have, do whatever you
I
feel?
just, I respect Dave so much as a friend and as a singer. He's amazing. I mean, he really is. And that's Dead Inside is probably one of my favorite vocal performances that he's ever done. I really, really like it. Um, I said, just go ahead, do whatever you want. When we got in the studio, we messed around with ideas. And one thing that was cool about him, yeah, I've been friends with Dave a long time, but I've never worked with him in that aspect of his vocals. Earlier that year, I did work with him on my own stuff. He helped me with 4 songs for my record. But working with him on the aspect of like, hey, that's cool, but can you change this a little bit? I didn't know how he was going to take something like that.
Yeah.
But he was so receptive, so cool, so humble. He gets a bad rap. I don't know why. He's a really cool guy, man. He's really humble, super easy to work with. And we tried different stuff like, hey, try this. Oh, that's cool. Oh, what about this? And we mix ideas together. And Dead Inside is where it's at.
So now we're gonna break over. You also have your own clothing brand, Beverly Kills. Was that your first kind of venture into that area?
Um, kind of. Was doing some design work for other people. Like I love t-shirts. That's all I wear. It's t-shirts. So I love cool designs, and I had designed some stuff for like influencers and stuff like that. And then I always had this idea for Beverly Kills. Beverly Kills actually was a name that I used for a DJ drummer project that I had. I used to do UFC after parties years back. I used to book these after parties, get the fighters to come, whatever city they were in. They would come there, and I would do a DJ drummer thing. And then this is right around the time DJs took the DJ out of their name. So that came along with a lot of inflated egos. So I
Yeah.
stopped. It was funny. So I got in touch with DJ Lethal from Limp Bizkit, and he was going to be the DJ for this thing. And he came over to my place, and we were talking about doing all this stuff. And he was like, "Wait, what's the name of it? Beverly Kills? Man, that's awesome." And we're like, okay, yeah. So the songs go like this. And he's like, man, Beverly Kills. Like he was so fixated on it. He's like, that's a clothing brand, man. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do shirts too. But like, here with us work on this song or whatever. And he was just so fixated on it. And literally that day after he left, I go, you know what? I'm gonna do a clothing brand with this. I'm gonna focus on that. And that's what I did.
So is he involved at all in that now?
No, no, no. He was just the one that was kind of like, that's what you should do with this. I was planning to do shirts. Like the idea of Beverly Kills was always the same. It was always how people got lost in the seek of fame and fortune. And living in LA for a long time, you see all that. You
Yeah.
see it's not even LA, you see it everywhere. It could be 2 lawyers in a small town, and one guy has his billboards all over the place, and he's the guy that's always getting in trouble in town. There's stories like this all the time. People that get caught up in the wrong stuff, the fame, the money, whatever it is, and they lose themselves. And it doesn't have to be in Hollywood, even though Hollywood does kind of breed that kind of stuff.
So was it tough for you to kind of think of like how you wanted to put this on a shirt? Did you have a lot of designs in your head already?
When I first started initially coming up with stuff for Beverly Kills, I'm not even exaggerating. I had 100 and something designs, 100 designs.
Wow.
So when I first started dating Nita, she was at my place and she's like, "What is all this stuff?" I was like, "Oh, it's a clothing brand I'm thinking about doing, and it's called Beverly Kills." And I explained the whole thing to her. She's like, "Well, when are you gonna put it out?" I was like, I just want to keep designing." She's like, "How many do you have?" I'm like, "I think it was like 105." And
Not enough.
she's like, "Enough already. Like, you need to put this out." And she was the one that like kind of told me like, "Hey, like, she pushed me in a positive way to, hey, it's time to get this out." And I had zero plan for it. And I was like, "Oh, let me just put this out and see what happens." Well, I put it out. Within 3 months, Johnny Depp was wearing it and it blew up. And so I
Yeah.
had to actually learn the business backwards of how to run a clothing brand. And I had to learn everything from the ground up. And that was a learning experience, man. Just, you know, doing something out of the blue, off the cuff, with no experience, and then it takes off, and then you have to actually learn how it works.
Yeah.
So it's a great learning experience. I always tell people when they do a business or when they do anything, learn everything from the ground up, so you can never. It avoids. It takes a lot of risks and it takes a lot of ways for you to get taken advantage of out, and that's what I learned. You know.
Yeah. So you had mentioned Johnny Depp. I'm sure you've probably had others. What are some of your biggest, holy shit, they're wearing like my shirt that you've had?
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean,
That's
I got to go to his house to do his podcast, Nita and I, and he were on the phone and he brought it up. He's like, "What's up with Nita wearing all this Beverly Kills shit?" I'm like, "Oh, well, that's my brand." And he's like, and I started explaining to him. He's like, "Oh, you don't have to explain it to me. I get it completely. I understand it
I'm
completely."
sure he's seen a lot of that in the business. Yeah.
That's the thing with a lot of people that wear the shirts. I've had long conversations with Johnny about it, and he wears my stuff all the time. And he's like, because he went through a lot of stuff. He's like, "I've lived this," and that's
Yeah.
one thing that's cool. It's like all these people that wear it, these quote unquote celebrities. I've never asked anybody to wear it. I've never paid anybody to wear it. They wear it because they feel they've lived that life. They understand it. They've seen it. And in some way, shape, or form, I guarantee you, everybody has seen that. The one guy that starts doing kind of cool stuff, and all of a sudden he starts acting better than everybody, or the girl that's whatever. It's all that, and it builds up with people. And after a certain time, they turn into this monster that they can't change. And everybody sees it. So when it's like, it's awesome when I see like, Vanilla Ice is wearing it on Netflix or the Netflix special, or Ronda Rousey's wearing it, or it's really cool, man. It's really humbling. And it's like I get emails from people and they're just like, "Man, this shirt like really helps me out." And I went through a lot of bad stuff in my life. And this is like they feel like it's like an armor thing. It's really cool, man. It's like it's grown into this thing that's way more than I imagined in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. And it actually came from something very personal, but I went through my own stuff as well. And that's kind of what inspired me to start the brand.
Yeah, and I mean now I'm definitely noticing them out more and more. I just got off the Monsters of Rock cruise and I probably saw at least like 50 to 100 people walking around in Beverly Kills shirts like on different
Awesome.
days.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, see stuff like that is just like, and it's weird because when I sometimes I walk somewhere and I see it, it's kind of like this outer body experience.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It's a Beverly Kills shirt. Like, wait a second.
I
I came
made
up with
that shit.
that in my living room, or I came up with that at a bar, drawing it on a napkin or whatever. Um, yeah, it's pretty surreal, man. It's really cool. I have this year, like I took a little time off just because I have a lot of stuff going on, but I
Yeah.
have I actually have another 100 designs that I have to narrow down. Then I'm gonna make a pretty big release pretty soon, probably in the next 3 months. Might drop a whole new line of shirts and keep growing the brand.
Yeah. So how big is the team that's working on it at the moment?
Not many. I handle everything. Majority of the stuff I handle. I mean, I have people that do like the emails and social media stuff like that. But
Yeah.
the business side and the design stuff, man, that's always me. Like I have a very clear vision on what I want things to look like. I mean, I'm very OCD. So when I see something, I know exactly how I want it to be. So I'd rather just handle it myself,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, that's kind of where everything is with Beverly Kills.
So as we start to wrap things up, you obviously have done a lot of different stuff. Is there any other fields that you want to try and break into that you haven't really, gotten yourself in yet?
Hmm. Let's see. I mean, it was cool to get involved in the whole WWE world. That was awesome. The NFL stuff, that's amazing. Um, One thing that I had a big like I want to get into different industries. Um, Probably more gaming stuff. I see, and there's stuff in works with that already. And then there's also Nita's playing NASCAR at the end of this month. It's gonna be televised on national TV, and that's gonna be something. That's something I've always saw her being a part of. And then all the stuff with me and her. It's to me, it's like we're one and the same. We do things together, so it's like I'm part of those things, and my band eventually is going to find its way part into these things. And
Yeah.
the relationships we have with the different companies they're timeless. They're forever. So I feel confident that everything's going to work itself out great. We all work together, and I feel very proud and happy to everything that we've been able to do together.
And so the final thing I have for you is just kind of open forum. Do you have anything that you want people to go check out, either that's upcoming, like you said, the new Beverly Kills drop, or anything you want to plug?
I think the main thing is check out beverlykills.com. I think you'll see some designs there that probably resonate with you. I'll follow Nita with all nitastrauss.com and all her stuff that we're working on. And hopefully this year I will get my band going. I'm going to start putting clips up of stuff. I've video recorded a lot of stuff in the last year. So mine's at the Josh V on Instagram and all the social medias. And yeah, that's it. I'm excited. It's a big, big, big year. January we had the number one song for 3 weeks in a row.
Yep.
February, Rams win, and it looks like Nita's gonna get her Super Bowl ring. And it's only
So she is
February.
getting one. Okay.
Seems like that.
Yeah.
It's not like 100% confirmed, but it is known that when you're part of the organization, they win, everybody gets one. So I'm hoping for that. That'd be two really cool things to happen in 2 months. So I have
I
a
mean,
lot
yeah,
of
that's just the start of the year. You got
just the start of the year. So I have a very, very, very big vision for this year. I'm going to make sure to do everything in my power to achieve all the goals.
All right. Well, best of luck to you with that. Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Later.